What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Mustard Seed. I'm Ryan.
I'm Josh.
Join us on our journey. I nailed it.
Good job.
I honestly had to consciously say I'm not Andrew. I am Ryan. Just to get the intro right.
Yeah.
So it's just you and I today. We're missing Andrew.
Little bugs going around, right?
Yeah, that's never
But
fun.
to be honest, I had one maybe 3 days ago, and it was probably just like a 24-hour thing. Just like a gut,
It's the worst.
No fun. Yeah. I hate that stuff. Yeah.
Especially when it's within a family and you're seeing everyone else get sick and you're just waiting for it to
happen. Yeah,
It's the worst.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm usually the last person in the house to get it. It's always John. John is always the first person to get sick every single time. And then from there it's Grace and then Eli and then usually Claire gets it. And then honestly I get it and she gets it. So
actually the last time that we all got sick, I was first, and it was right before Elliot's baptism. And I remember just being absolutely I couldn't eat anything for 4 days, and then it hit V right afterwards, and then it hit Elliot. It's just the worst. It's just so bad.
No fun
at all. And then you always have to be, whenever that starts to happen, I always get really cautious about what foods I'm eating. Because I don't want to ruin that food.
Yeah, exactly. What's the brat diet, right? Is what you're supposed to have when things are.
What's that? Yeah, what's the?
So it's like brown rice, or no, bananas, rice, apples, and toast.
That's
it's
it.
That's like if your stomach's upset, that's what you eat.
I can see that making sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds ezy enough.
Yeah.
Good to know. I'm gonna have to write that down so I remember next time.
The brat diet.
The brat diet. Well, speaking of food, so we got a little. So we're gonna change it up a little bit. We're gonna start to do a. I don't even know what we're gonna call this. Guessing game or something. I don't know. But Andrew came up with the idea. So essentially, it's we have a topic, kind of similar when Andrew brought up the top names of the year and things like that. So. It kind of makes sense a little bit more when there's three of us, because then you and I can do the guessing, because I'm sure Andrew would most likely come up with the topics, but he did send me one. So this one's pretty basic. So let's see if we can kind of figure this out.
It's kind of just like a top 5 quiz or whatever.
It's a top 5 guessing
kind of
thing.
Guessing
Exactly. So this one is top 5 foods in the whole world. So basically the 5 most consumed foods in the world.
Okay.
So if you had to guess, there's 5 of them.
Okay.
What would your guesses be?
Sure. So it's not drinks.
No drinks. This is all food. Yep.
Okay. So it's all food.
All food.
I'm gonna say number 1 is probably rice.
Wow, you nailed it.
Yeah. Because all the Asian countries and Africa, they tend to eat a lot of rice.
Exactly, right?
In the culture, yeah.
That's what I was thinking too.
Definitely. And then so that's number 1 for me, rice.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna say chicken.
Okay, that's number 3.
Number 3.
So we got 1 and 3.
Let's see. What else is pretty accessible? Potatoes.
No potatoes.
No potatoes?
No
Okay,
potatoes.
well, that's my 3rd guess then.
There are 2 carbs on this list, and then one more. I don't know what I'd classify it, but I'm not too great with my food groups.
Yeah, it's okay. All right, 2 carbs.
So you got rice.
Okay, well, it's a bread.
Yes.
Probably, right?
Bread's number 5.
Pasta.
Yep. Pasta's number 4.
Okay.
Number 2. So you get number 2. This is the
Number
one that I
2.
didn't know how to classify. I think it's I don't know where it is. I think it's a protein.
It's a protein?
Yes.
All right. Gosh. Is it...
It's similar in a sense where it's like what you said first time with rice.
Uh-huh. Similar to rice?
In a sense that it can be used in so many different... Well, one, it's a base for a lot of baking things. It's included in a lot of baking ingredients.
Okay.
And you can use it for... It's not just a dinner food or a lunch. It's you could pretty much have it at any time.
Eat it.
Anytime.
Is it like soy? Like soybeans?
No.
No? I don't know. What is it?
It's eggs.
Oh, eggs. Duh. Yeah. Oh,
Egg.
chicken and eggs. Yeah,
Yep.
of course.
Like eggs are basically in every when you
No,
bake
they are.
something.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
I
then,
have
like-
eggs like every day.
Exactly, right? You could have it for breakfast. I didn't want to say you could have it for breakfast. I felt like that would
Right,
give
I
it
would've
away.
given it away, definitely. Bacon.
Exactly, bacon right away. I thought that was like it was one of those things that when I thought about it at first, it didn't come straight to my mind. But when I'm looking at the list, I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Rice, eggs, chicken, pasta, bread.
Right. So I got 3 out of 5. Right?
Yeah. No, you got 4 out
Oh,
of
4
5.
out of 5.
The eggs were the only one that.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
You
Nice.
nailed number 1 right away.
Yeah.
Rice. As basic as it can be, rice.
Yeah.
I actually, sticking on the foods, a little segue leading us into Lent.
Mm.
I actually came across this yesterday. So pretzels,
Okay.
the origin of pretzels, actually has like a Christian origin.
Really?
Yes, I didn't know this. I almost want to pull it up, but essentially what
Like
I
the
learned.
shape of it?
So the whole idea is that it was connected to Lent, and I believe it's Germany that started it.
Okay.
Where for Lent, here we go. It has a deep spiritual meaning for Lent. So it's a Christian. This goes as far back as the Roman Empire.
Whoa.
Wow. So that's pretty cool.
Wow.
So the faithful kept a very strict fast throughout Lent in the Roman Empire. So no milk, no butter, no cheese, no eggs, no cream, no meat. So they would make, just using bread, water, flour, and salt, pretzels.
Wow.
So, but they would shape the pretzels the way they did, kind of to symbol, or I guess mimic, crossing your arms. Because when you would pray, that's how they would, like, crossing their arms like that. Exactly. So that's, I guess, what the pretzel. Yeah, which I don't know if I pray like that too often, but I guess in Roman
the
times,
olden days.
exactly. So it was a very much a food that symbolized Lent. So basically,
Wow.
for Lent, it was a lot of pretzels that were consumed, and then
I'm into that. Like me some pretzels.
right, some pretzels are some solid. So now I'm gonna make pretzels a part of our Lenten
There you go.
consumption.
That's great. Now,
Yeah.
Is it like primarily like the hard pretzels, or do you like the soft pretzels? Like, where's your heart in the pretzel world?
Soft pretzels, right? You can't go wrong with soft
Yeah,
pretzels
100%. Love
with
them.
the little beer cheese or
Yeah.
nacho cheese. Even then, like, oh, they're so good.
Definitely, I like it with a little mustard too. It's good.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice. I had an everything pretzel before, and it was at that Blue Point Brewery
Yes.
right down here. And I just randomly in the middle of the day, my dad was visiting, and it's like 11 o'clock or so, and we just went in just to like poke our head around, and they like brought us into the dining area and all
Yep.
this stuff, and we ate and drank, and
Yeah,
we had
that's a cool
pretzel.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Pretzels are always a classic go-to at
Yeah, like
sitting down
apps,
at a
yeah.
bar, getting this.
Yeah, I always
mass,
try to push for that. I love getting a pretzel.
getting the
eat out.
pretzel.
Yeah.
No, it's a good choice. You can't go wrong with the pretzel. I used to. That was my go-to at school. In high school, we had a hot pretzel machine, and then we had a cheese machine too.
Mm,
So 75 cents for the pretzel and a quarter for the cheese.
there you go.
Easy. Whenever I had $1, I was like, that's what I'm getting.
That's great.
Little indulgence.
Yeah, definitely.
But pretzels are good. So now they have a Lenten meaning. So here we are, about a week and a half into Lent.
Yeah.
Actually, a week technically, because this will be when this is
Yeah,
released.
when this comes out,
Yep.
yeah, it'll be a week.
A week.
Yep, definitely.
So how's your mindset heading into Lent here?
Good, pretty good. Yeah, it kind of took me a little while to decide what I was doing, and I hate to say it, but just kind of a couple days ago I decided. But yeah, so just going in, there's a lot of change happening right now in my household, which is good. I'm getting a new job, and there's some other things that are kind of brewing. But so I was just kind of really trying to focusing on like the next stage of that. So like next week I'm starting a job, and well, this week for when this comes out.
Yep.
But, and so my longing is to really like focus hard on like a healthy routine and kind of getting that into the picture again. Because honestly, I haven't had like a routine in a very long time outside of like, regular responsibilities and daily whatevers of being a husband and a father. But actually being like a working man again, I got to really think about that, doing the whole 9 to 5 thing and trying to fit in workouts and all that stuff, and to remind myself that I love doing that stuff.
Yes.
So that's kind of the goal, is working towards that routine, and then also kind of cutting off some of the excess stuff that has been time wasters. So honestly, I put away the PlayStation,
Nice. That's always
which is kind of a big thing for
yes.
me, because the past couple of months I've been getting pretty hardcore into gaming. So it's nice for me to like cut that off a bit, because it's funny. I usually try to base my Lenten sacrifices off of like my initial responses to things.
Of course.
And so my wife was like, "Why don't you give up gaming?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going to do that."
And then you walked away like,
And then like
gotta
reflecting,
give
I was like,
up
"Oh, well, that's why I probably should get rid of it." Then, yeah, exactly. So just last night or two nights ago, I boxed it up and put it in the basement. So PlayStation 4.
Good call. That's
So,
a tough one to do.
Yeah, it is. But it'll be good. It'll be good because now it's like, okay, so I can focus on the good stuff, try to be healthy, do the whole working thing, come home, be with the family, and then end the day with a book or something. You know, what I mean?
Exactly.
Spend
Yeah.
time with the wifey. So yeah, so that's kind of where it is. It's just kind of getting that healthy, good, routine going again, and then just trying to cut off some excess, like gaming. So
Cool.
yeah.
No, I like that. I think, especially within a work schedule, right? I feel like a routine is always helpful. I definitely had that adjustment just recently with the new job, trying to figure out, because the hours
And you're all over the
are
place.
just nuts.
So,
For me, it's funny. Like, I almost feel like I don't even have enough time for other things. That it's like, because I did do that sort of kind of discernment of like, okay, what is the excess things that I can cut out. But I feel like all I do is work, home, and sleep. Work, home, sleep. It's like just this routine. But I realized like I did want to kind of make an effort to have more sacrifice, like daily sacrifices.
that's good.
And I wanted to kind of approach Lent a little differently, because I always feel like I have like an idea. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people kind of have that, just like you get halfway through it or you just start teetering off a little bit. And it's like, I was trying to figure out what it is that can create a little bit more meaning behind why I'm doing these things and what it is. So I went on to YouTube and Ascension and just trying to find some videos, and they have like their whole Lenten playlist and stuff. So I found a video from like, I think it was like 3 years ago now at this point, Father Mark Mary talking about Lent. And the big thing with Lent, right? And for us Catholics, it's fasting, prayer, and almsgiving, correct? Right? That's the three things, right? So obviously that's the root of kind of my thoughts of what I wanted to do this Lent. But Father Mark Mary was talking about starting with the idea of starting your day 15 minutes earlier or 20 minutes earlier to allow, that 10 minutes or 15 minutes of prayer to let the day go, to start the day and kind of center yourself and then go. And I realized I really haven't done that in a while. Like, as much as I've tried to cut out time for prayer, it's always just kind of in the middle of my day or at the end of my day or things like that. So I was like, okay, if I'm going to be giving up something this Lent, like making daily sacrifices, I feel like I will have a better mindset if I start my day reminding myself why I'm making these sacrifices. So that's kind of been my goal. So I didn't necessarily create one thing that I'm giving up, although video games for me is one of those things I'm trying to cut out as well. It's really on the same thought that you had of like, where is my time being spent and where can it be spent better?
Yeah.
So I'm starting with this whole idea of every day, making that extra effort to wake up earlier and to have myself just a little centered in prayer. And I think that will allow me, and it's working so far, to see each day as like, okay, this is where my sacrifice should be, or this is what it should be, type of deal. So that's kind of my goal, to keep that going.
No, that's great, and I think that's a really good one, because it really is a bit of a sacrifice, because you're waking up a little bit earlier, so you're kind of cutting into that rest time and that sleep, and I think that's such a great thing to give up. I think for the Lord and for the sake of that, and then just getting that little bit of quiet in the morning, like it's really important, and it's nice to do. Now, when does your boy wake up in the morning?
So I'm out the door before Elliot wakes up.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Nice.
I'm out the door by like, it depends the day, but yeah, I'm out.
So it's really
before.
quiet then. If you wake up
Yes.
early, it's like nice and quiet.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
So that's
Yeah, that's awesome. I have to say, it's been a long time since I've done that, and I'm definitely gonna try to jump on that bandwagon here coming up. But when I used to do that, It's like really, really nice.
Right.
It's, when you're just waking up, still a little bit of dark, a little dark out, or from, seeing it, watching the sunrise or whatever it is, and just kind of taking that time of quiet before the day strikes you. It is a great thing to do, just to kind of give it to the Lord, and it just puts you in that mindset.
Definitely. It's always such a hard thing to do initially, but then afterwards I'm always like, all right, good, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah,
like now I can go
and when you don't
attack
do
the
it,
day.
you feel it
Yeah.
it kind of strikes you a bit, it's like you
Definitely.
just wake up and like you're ready to go, as opposed to taking a deep breath and
Exactly.
preparing yourself for it.
And isn't it funny too when like you are in a good state, or you get back to being in like a good state of those things, and then you think like, wait, why did I kind of fall away from it? But you also realize how easy it is to fall away from it. Just the simple little excuses and reasons why.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's funny. It's like when we get busier and when life gets more hectic, we tend to like take these things out.
Yes.
Even though they're the things that like help us with those emotions, like with the stress, with the hecticness, to really help us like give everything away. But it's funny how that stuff is it's the first stuff to go,
right?
Whenever stuff gets crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't have enough time. I'm too busy. I don't have enough time. But then like that busyness feels busier because when I don't give myself enough time to like have that prayer, the start to the day, like it just changes the whole mindset of the day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I feel like falling into the same trends over these past few years, because I think I've been a little bit, since COVID, I think I've been a little bit more reflective on like my days and my years and just how things have gone.
Sure.
And I realize for the past 2 years at least, like there's been the consistent like start the year off really well, right? We've done Exodus the past 2 years, and then start the year well, and then you hit Lent, and it's like, okay, a little bit of a remotivation to continue to stay well within whatever it is I'm doing spiritually and things like that. And then I feel like that post Lent, you're still riding that high a little bit, and then you get into the summertime, and it's like, I'm gonna have fun.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
the summertime,
Exactly.
And then like I always find the fall is like a struggle to get back
and
to
then
where
you have
I
the
was.
holidays, and it's like so it's hard to.
It's like the constant cycle.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, 100%. It totally is. That's how it is in my life too. But yeah. Like, so how do we like keep
exactly?
Like, where's the balance? Because I feel like oftentimes we tend to kind of overcompensate in January, or it's kind of this constant like game of like all in or all out or whatever it is. But like, how do we stay right in the middle and establish those habits?
Right.
That just
I feel like that's the $1 million question.
No, it really is. Yeah, 100%. What I love is, I forget his name. I want to say it's like Saint Jose Maria Escriva or one of those people. He's the one, I might have mentioned this before on a podcast, but he said like, there's so many devotions in the church. There's so many things that you can do on a daily basis, from, liturgy of the hours to the prayers of the office to the rosary to divine mercy to going to mass to praying to everything. He said, just find one thing.
Yes, we've talked about
that you'll do, one thing that you like doing, and then just make it a part of your day and do it every day. And then you're good to go, And that's the one way that can really help you. So it's like finding that one thing that like you're definitely going to do in all circumstances, and then just turning that into a habit. And then no matter what happens, like it's there, And obviously it's tough because life changes and you go on trips and things happen in your family and all this stuff. But having that one thing that like, this is not going to change. Like, this is not going to move. I'm going to constantly do this. And it's important for us to lean into. And
I think that's awesome. And I think that's a great thing for us to appreciate during Lent right now.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to embrace that. I'm going to kind of say, okay, like what is that one thing? And work on it this Lent, and with the idea. So I'm hoping then that this morning wake up can become like a routine, and try and do that.
Definitely. And I think oftentimes, like I just said, we kind of overcompensate. We put like too much in at a time, and then it's like not sustainable, So like if I'm going to say, I'm going to do the liturgy in the hours. So all day I'm going to be constantly praying about it. Like, sure, you may be able to do that for a couple of days, but after a little while, it's like, this isn't realistic.
Yeah.
So it's trying to find that one thing that's doable, whether it be the Divine Mercy or the Rosary or just a decade of the Rosary. Heck, if you just wake up and say the Hail Mary, and like that way you can just offer something up, offer up your day, then make it happen. But just try to find something, and don't go crazy. Don't go all in. Just like do something that's, reasonable that you can do and make a habit out of. And
because that one thing goes such a long way, right?
Yeah,
when you're
really
all in
does.
on that one thing, like I was mentioning, it just creates that mindset to be open to whatever it is that the Lord might be guiding you in that day.
No,
so if you find that one thing, I think it could help kind of develop even more, you know? It definitely does.
One thing that I tried doing a couple years ago was, have you ever heard of the Jesus prayer before?
If you say it, I might know it.
So it's just this very short blurb that like it's kind of common in Eastern Catholicism, but it's Jesus Christ, Son of the Living God, have mercy on me, a sinner.
Yes. Okay. I didn't know that's what it was called, because I say that like every day.
Yeah. And something that I heard from somebody, I forget who I was watching, probably like Matt Fradd or somebody, talks about how much he likes this, and what he does is as he just breathes, he says the prayer. So like as he exhales, he's like, Jesus Christ, Son of the Living God, and then when he inhales, have mercy on me, a sinner. And so he would do it so often that like it became just like when he would breathe, it was like a reminder for him. I keep snapping. I don't know why I keep snapping.
It's that simple.
Yeah, just bam, here we go. But yeah, he would keep doing that, and he found that like while he was breathing just during the day, he was saying the prayer. And so I tried doing that too, and I really enjoyed that. And the thing is it's like a really short thing. It's like, it's this beautiful penitential little prayer that you're just, throwing out there. And so maybe just starting with something like that for like listeners at home. Like if you want to begin something that's not crazy, nothing huge, just reading the whole Bible in a week or something. But like, if you just want to do that, like just close your eyes. Jesus Christ, Son of the Living God, have mercy on me, a sinner. Just say it a few times and kind of bring that into your day, and you got it.
Definitely.
So it's good.
That's a great one. Yeah, I didn't realize that. The Jesus prayer, that makes sense why we call that. But I read something too, and it was the same line like you're saying, where it was like the breath, like the way you kind of breathe, it creates like a little bit of a rhythm. Yeah. And it's just so simple to kind of carry with you throughout the day.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
that's great. So in addition to my morning prayer, the big kind of similar, where cutting things out, but wanting to replace it with reading.
Right.
So I've been reading, and the book that I'm reading right now is The Road to Joy by, why did I just blank on his name? This is classic podcast. Put the microphone on. You can't think. Scott Drew. He's the head coach of the University of Baylor.
Oh, nice.
Baylor University. So they just won a national championship in 2021.
Okay.
Right? So I, just in the beginning of the book, but I thought it was pretty meaningful and something that, like, I feel like you and I can riff off of. So the position that he took of head coach of the Baylor University college basketball team, he took the position in 2003. Oh. So it was right after a huge scandal, if you will, of the basketball team. So essentially, just really simple, but look it up if you're interested. There was a teammate murdered another teammate on the team. Oh, so man. Yeah, teammates are on the team. And then it actually developed into the fact that the kid that was murdered, the coach was actually paying him scholarship money under the table. Oh. So he wasn't technically supposed to be receiving scholarship money. Huge, big NCAA issue, obviously. Wow, murder, just so many issues. So the AD was fired, the coaching was fired, created the vacancy. So he ended up taking the position, which is one of those things. It's like, how do you kind of take that role after something like that, right? Huge. Yeah. So he was really given the task to rebuild this program and create something sustainable. And in his opening press conference, he said, I'm taking this position with the idea that we can win a national championship. And that's what I'm going to do here. So 2003, he took the position. He said that 2021, they won a national championship. Nice. So what a process, right?
Yeah.
But the kind of the introduction to it, so the foreword was by Chip Gaines, right? Chip and Joanna Gaines. Yeah. So he's from Waco, Texas, which is right where Baylor is. So he introduced the book with the idea that in 2003, Chip and Joanna Gaines were just getting started as their whole Magnolia Farms deal, right? But they were really just getting by. But they had this belief that they could create what Magnolia Farms is today. And he kind of similar said in parallel, Scott Drew just took the position as the head coach and had that similar sort of idea of like, I have this belief that I can be a national champion, or that our team can be a national championship, and kind of it began their journey. So I just thought that was really neat. And a few weeks ago, actually it might have been a month at this point, Father Rob had a homily talking about what it is that's written on our heart, that Jesus has, or God has these plans for us that are written on our heart, and that for us, it's kind of a matter of discerning what that is, right? And going after that. And I thought that was so powerful. And then to read this story in the beginning of it and to think about like belief. And it's like a cool reminder. And I think like kind of frame it in the sense of like, if you could say like, you have this like future in mind of yours, right? Because it's all about positive thinking. And I agree that there's a big part of success is having the belief that you're going to do what you're going to accomplish what you want to accomplish. And those things don't necessarily happen, or I should say they can happen if you turn your belief and offer it up to God. So you create that mindset and you have the belief, and just understand that if you put 100% effort into whatever it is you're doing with that belief, that like God will take care of it in a sense. So it's like, I've been trying to figure out what are those things that are on my heart that I can have like my belief for. And then even in a simple sense of like Lent, it's like, okay, I'm cutting out excess things this Lent with the belief that by Easter Sunday, I'm going to be a better person for it type of deal. So it's like, I feel like that's just like a cool mindset and something for us to think about for Lent, of like, it's good to think a little bit in the future and positively. Like for you, as you're moving through the job and getting started, and it's like, what is that belief? Like if there is one where you can say, I'm moving in like this direction, and this is what I hope I can like kind of offer up to God, if you will,
Yeah, definitely. Well, I love that, man. That's really great, because I think having that like self-efficacy and that this like belief that you can like achieve things is like such an important aspect of our decisions and goals and all the stuff that we, that we're trying to achieve in this world. But then for us as Christians, for us as Catholics, like having the Lord on our side is like, he can do anything,
Yep.
and he does. And so, and we're told, we want to achieve what he longs for, like thy will be done, right? Like we want what he wants. And so like, I think oftentimes when that lines up, like everything just falls into place, And so because of that, we really should believe in ourselves and especially in the Lord, especially if we're living for him and for his will, like then that road to joy, like that's the destination, is that joy,
Definitely.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I can think about that. So yeah, where I am now, with this job and all this stuff, and ultimately that's what the destination is. Like I want joy and I want heaven for my household. And so every decision that I've been making recently is like, I just want to lean into the Lord and I want to do what he longs for me to do, right? Because before this, I have a degree in music, and I always wanted to do things with music, and that's always been my heart, being a producer or whatever, teacher, all that. But I just found that like, in order to achieve what the Lord wants from me, I have to lay my life down. I have to, the whole concept of sacrifice, bring it into Lent. Like it's something that we don't naturally want to do as Americans. We want comfort. We want like the happiness and this little shallow happiness and kind of this peace that we get from comfort. But the reality is like we gotta sacrifice a little bit. We gotta fast. We gotta do things that we're a little bit uncomfortable with. And so, yeah, when you lean into the Lord, like that's gonna happen. Like there's gonna be some moments where you're like, you gotta sacrifice for me. Like you gotta lay something down at the altar. And that's one of those things that I've discovered is like, no, I'm just gonna get a jobby job. I'm gonna do something that maybe I'm not 100% into, but I'll enjoy it, and I'm gonna give it to the Lord, and it's his will, since I got it, and I've been asking for his will for a long time.
Exactly.
And so I know that this is what I'm supposed to do, and then just being okay with it, seeking the Lord in the midst of it, and then that's when the joy comes.
Definitely.
Is when that will and your relinquish of your will, but longing for his will kind of line up. So,
Definitely.
Yeah.
But, and I also think too, there's an ability to trust the process in a sense, because I like talking about like what's kind of written on our heart and like our desires, right? Like I still feel, when I think about like my belief and like my goal, like I still have a desire and a goal with sports, right? Like that's my passion. That's what I think is written on my heart when it comes down to it. And it's a lot deeper than that. And obviously like sports is a simple way to say it, but I just enjoy everything that sports is when it comes to, a team and, just physical, like what's the word? Recreation, things like that, right? Sports.
Sure.
So to me, that's always my belief. Like that's the way that I'm supposed to like fully honor God is through sports, right?
Yeah.
But right now, my job is not sports related at all.
Right.
But what I'm trying to continue to keep through the process of like, this is a part of the process. Whatever this is right now for with work, and like I'm learning things that I think ultimately I hope I'll be able to apply to something when it comes down to like sports and that belief. So like I never want to give up that belief. And like similar for you, like music, it's like,
I'm never giving it up.
Exactly.
It's always
but
going to be
this
there.
is like a part of the process, and whatever it is that like we're picking up along the way will ultimately like be applied to that passion that God really
exactly,
put,
100%. And I think for me too, realizing that like you have your vocation, right? Like what you should be doing as husband and father,
Yes.
and like how to serve that the best way that you can. And then you also have Ryan, you have Josh, you have this individual who's a part of that vocation, but in the same token, it's like, well, you also have been given things like your gifts and passions and all that stuff, which are intended to be kind of for you to enjoy stuff in the world, but then also give it back to the Lord, in the midst of that. And I think for me, for the longest time, I've kind of been combining those two things, like to the point where like my vocation is my passion for stuff and passion for music. So like I need to make this work. When in reality, it was like, no, I have to serve my wife and my family first, and then I'm going to give the Lord the music stuff, as opposed to trying to like forge my own path and like, this is what I'm going to do with this stuff I've been given for me. But now it's like, well, no, I'm going to give it back to the Lord as a, with having that. So like the Lord gives us something we're passionate about, that we love deeply. And we're not supposed to throw that away because we've been given that love. Like you love sports, you love the recreation aspect of it, And so we have to find a way to like give it back to him in the midst of that, And so obviously we enjoy it here, but then also kind of giving it to him is kind of where we find that joy. Like the moment that I was trying to make music for myself and for my own person, I found that like it was cool to do and I enjoyed it, but like there was kind of an emptiness there. But when I play mass on Sunday, or when Claire and I do a holy hour, it's like that is for the Lord. And the amount of joy and peace and love that come from those moments is unmatched in anything else I've ever done.
Definitely.
Or making music for the church, so having the Christmas album, like that's what it's meant for, and that's where the joy and the peace and all that kind of come flooding in. So I think being able to find that, like how can I use this thing for its proper end and for the goodness is like a challenge, but I think that's what we're intended,
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Like the parable of the talents, like our passions and our talents, our gifts, like are used to be given back to God. But like you said, it's not until you really surrender what it is that you are doing to the Lord that I feel like those talents and those gifts start to really take off.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that doesn't necessarily mean, especially for something like sports recreation, it's not like you're just like doing things like you're like running around for God or something, But it's like finding the goodness within those things and saying like I'm gonna pull like through this exercise or like a intermittent, like a what's the word,
intermittent fasting, like
no like the sports that you do, the what is it called,
intramurals,
and like intramural sports,
there you go,
where you get like community and all this stuff, like the friendships that you form from that stuff, like all that's good, like you find the 100%. Good stuff and all that, which then kind of you discover God in the midst of that. So
exactly, that's my true passion and belief. Like there is a way to create some community aspect, especially when it comes to just, I think the best communities are around sports and athletics. I think there's so much that you can create out of that, and there's so much parallels with a sports community and faith. And I feel like if you can find a way to allow that to be mixed in with the church and that community, like man, good things can really happen.
100%.
But there is always a way to honor God through the things that you enjoy and that you love. And it's not necessarily like surrendering or giving up the fact that it's like, I'll never ever have a job in sports, but it's more about the idea of like where I'm at in my life right now will hopefully end up being applied to that potential job that could involve sports.
Exactly. Yeah. And just to trust in the process and trust that his will is pointing you in that direction. I mean, we've been given these gifts for a purpose. We've been like, I've been given this intense love for music for a reason. And so just learning like how do I glorify him in the midst of that? Like
for anyone that's kind of struggling through different things too, like a nice reminder of like, just have that positive belief, you know, like to feel like, man, I'm not, because I know that feeling. Like I feel like I've been there where it was just, I looked at my work that I was doing and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like this doesn't feel fulfilling. Like, am I really applying this to anything that's meaningful? But realizing now as I look back, I'm like, I was learning so many things that I'm now applying to my job now where I feel fulfillment too, right? And it's always just trust in it. Like even when things are low, like you don't feel like you're doing anything meaningful, like you are, right? Like God's redeeming it. God's a part of it, and allow that process to play out. Because one day you look back and be like, man, this was so important to where I am now.
Exactly. And I think of one perfect example of that is like, so in school, I had to do kind of more of like intellectual style of guitar playing because for my major in college. And so I had to learn this like style of playing. It was called classical guitar. And so it was like finger picking. I had to grow these like gross nails and like it was just really, not something I was really interested in doing. I had to play Bach and like all these really old stuff. And I remember talking to my instructor who was a Christian. He wasn't Catholic, but he was Christian. And so it was nice. I had a really good relationship with my professor, my guitar instructor. And we would talk about this sometimes. I'd be like, listen, like I'm not passionate about Bach. I don't want to play these like things. And he said something to me that just stuck with me forever. I was like, listen, like it doesn't need to glorify God explicitly for it to glorify God. Just give what you're doing to the Lord, offer it up, make it, give it to him. You're doing it for him. And then all of a sudden you've like blessed and you've made something beautiful out of, something that isn't explicitly Christian. And that just stuck with me. I was like, yeah, okay, all right, I guess I can appreciate that. And like, so then I brought that into my playing while I'm doing these weird Bach concertos on G minor on the, nylon string. I was like, okay, this is for you, Lord. This is for you. I don't know why I'm doing this, but this is for you, Lord. And it really helped put everything in that perspective.
That's a great mindset for sure. Whatever it is that you're doing, just give 100% to it and just let the Lord kind of do his work, right? All good things.
Just bring him into your day. Bring him into the stuff that the mundane, the monotony. Like let him in, break through to all that, and then and you'll see what comes. So
awesome.
Joy and peace.
Definitely. Yeah, I think for us, just with Lent, like it's a great kind of reminder as well too, like to have this just positive belief as we're moving through Lent, and let the Lord kind of shape whatever it is that you're doing, and through the sacrifice or the difficulties, like there's positive that's always going to come out of it for sure.
Exactly. So yeah, gonna have a good Lent this year. I'm excited about it.
Exactly. Yeah. Good. Me too. I'm trying my best to keep that like, this is why I'm doing it type of mindset, because like you can get through, or you can kind of get into the middle of it. I always feel like it's in the middle is like the perfect time, because then it's like, I find myself always starting to trip a little bit because you kind of just forget what the whole goal of this is, right? In the beginning, like it's easy. You're like, oh, this is Lent. Like I'm going to have this great goal or mindset. But as you're doing it in a while, it's like I can kind of shave this corner, cut this corner and stuff. So I'm hoping I can stay true to it, just with the same mindset of like I'm trying to create like a real positive routine that extends way beyond Lent. It's not just this 40-day sacrifice that I got to grit and bear it, Right. Let's create something sustainable.
Exactly. Love it, man. Love it. All right.
Cool.
Here we go.
Good stuff. So it's another episode. I guess we'll be back the full squad next week. Appreciate everyone listening.
Yeah. So like and comment. Hit that subscribe button if you appreciate the content, and share it with people. Check us out on Spotify. If you're not listening to us, we have podcasts there. And just thank you so much.
Yeah. Appreciate all the interactions, and been awesome. Just appreciate all the support. So Definitely. Thanks, guys.
All right,
see you next week.